Hello, my name is Alex, and today I'll attempt to replicate what I have learned about financial accounting through the process of making some homemade cheddar bagels. In accounting, all things must be kept in balance, much like the Taoist yin and yang, or in this case, a perfect homemade bagel. To put this in accounting terms, your total assets must be equal to your total liabilities and your total equity. Assets are things like cash, equipment, and anything else as a benefit to your business. Liabilities are things that need to be paid off, such as loans or unearned revenue, and equity is the difference between these things. They will include stuff such as expenses, revenue earned, and capital contributed by the owner. This can be equated into making bagels by way of your ingredients and equipment being your assets, your liabilities being having to clean up your kitchen, and your equity would be how many bagels you yourself get to eat before handing them off to your friends and family. I believe Julia Child will call this chef's privilege. Now, a lot of stuff goes into both accounting and into bagels. Both can seem daunting to someone who is just starting out, but once you get used to the process, they will become second nature, or at least easier as you establish a routine and get a lot of practice in. With the basics of accounting, you need to know just how much you are working with in the various accounts covered in your accounting journal. The same is true for your bagel recipe. You want to know exactly what you are using and how much you are using of each ingredient, or else you will have to endure the extra work of making adjustments. You need to remember to write down every transaction that occurs within the given accounting cycle. This way you know exactly how much was spent, earned, or contributed and when it happened. This is sort of like checking off an ingredient or step from your recipe. You really want to make sure you don't repeat or forget a step. Take it from me, adding too much or too little salt, yeast, flour, water, or forgetting about them entirely can and will make your job that much harder. If this does happen, you will either need to adjust or start over. Having to adjust is an unfortunate occurrence, but it's an inevitability thanks to the phenomena of the human margin for error. If caught quickly, these mistakes aren't much of a problem and adjustment is easy. However, if neglected, then you have a lot of extra work to do down the line. As with your bagels, you really want to catch your mistakes as quickly as possible and make the proper adjustments to your recipe. If the accounts are off like your recipe, then either you're going to have to spend way more time than you should have backtracking and correcting your mistakes, or you will have to start over, and we don't want to do that. Now, on to transactions. Transactions always involve at least two accounts. One is credited and the other is debited. To put this simply, one account has something added to it, and the other account in the transaction has something taken away from it. Whether a credit or a debit means something is added or subtracted from an account depends on what type of account it is in the first place. Assets typically go up with the credit, or rather a debit, allow me to correct myself, while liabilities and equity go up with credits. We can relate this to bagels pretty easily. Your ingredients are an asset account, which is credited or subtracted from when you remove some flour from the bag, and another account, such as your dough, is debited when you add said flour to it. You need to make sure to keep note of every last pertinent detail for your transaction in order to ensure a properly balanced account or sufficiently delicious bagel. As with anything worthwhile, there is a lot of hard work involved with these tasks of ours, but through enough time and perseverance, what was once daunting can become routine, easy, and incredibly worthwhile. To further illustrate, As with a fresh batch of bagels coming out of the oven, a well-balanced account journal is satisfying and worthwhile to anyone else who is willing to pay you for them. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.